Today we're going to be reacting to the Napoleonic War Part 5, Austria Fights Back, by Extra History. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and see more of our content. Part 5, Kelly, here we go. I mean,
let's go, Austria.
Is anybody gonna be able to take down Napoleon? I mean, I don't think so, but Austria, let's see what you got.
Let's see what's going on.
In 1809, France, under Napoleon Bonaparte, was the most powerful nation in Europe. But the French Emperor's invasion of Spain and Portugal the previous year had failed to deliver the easy victory he'd expected. And with many of Napoleon's best troops and commanders now tied down in Spain, an old enemy prepared to challenge France once more. Austria had been preparing for war with France since her last humiliating defeat at Austerlitz in 1805. Now, with Napoleon busy in Spain and a British promise of cash subsidies, plus a supporting attack in Northern Europe, it looked like the ideal time to strike. This time, Austria's armies would be led by Archduke Charles, Emperor Francis's younger brother. At 37, he was 2 years younger than Napoleon, but already had 15 years' experience of high command. And he was learning from past defeats. He'd begun to reform the Austrian army along French lines, copying Napoleon's corps system and introducing new infantry tactics. Napoleon, warned by his spies that Austria was preparing for war, left Spain and raced back to Paris, arriving on the 24th of January 1809. The French army in Germany, commanded by Marshal Berthier, would need urgent reinforcement.
Munich, Germany.
So Napoleon summoned units from Spain, called up young conscripts, and soldiers from his German allies in the Confederation of the Rhine. La Grande Armée was no longer the finely honed instrument of 1805, but with Napoleon at its head, it was still a formidable force. Archduke Charles ordered diversionary attacks in Poland and northern Italy, but launched his main attack against France's ally, Bavaria, on the 10th of April. It came a week earlier than Napoleon had expected and caught the French Emperor by surprise. Charles was relying on a rapid advance, but a last-minute change of plans, torrential rain, and a slow-moving baggage train slowed progress to a crawl. Marshal Berthier was a brilliant chief of staff to Napoleon, but an indecisive field commander. His forces were too widely dispersed, and Marshal Davout's Third Corps was dangerously isolated at Regensburg. Charles ordered his corps to converge and destroy it. But on the 17th of April, Napoleon arrived at Donauwörth to take over command. He immediately ordered Davout to withdraw from his exposed position. It was too late for him to escape without a fight. Davout's Third Corps was one of the best in the Grande Armée, and in a fast-moving battle across wooded hills, the heroes of Auerstadt threw back the Austrians. Despite the heroism of General Major Liechtenstein, badly wounded, leading his troops forward. Third Corps escaped the encirclement. The Battle of Teugn-Hausen was the start of Napoleon's so-called four-day campaign. First, he used Marshal Lefebvre's Bavarian 7th Corps and a provisional corps under Marshal Lannes to drive a wedge into the Austrian army. Then he pursued its left wing towards Landshut, believing he was following the main Austrian army. French troops and their German allies stormed the town's bridge to win a hard-fought victory. But Napoleon realized that Archduke Charles was not at Landshut, and that, once again, he'd left Marshal Davout to face the main enemy force. Sending Marshal Bessières in pursuit of the Austrian left wing, Napoleon swung north, falling on the Austrian 4th Corps at Eckmühl. The French and their German allies won their 4th victory in as many days. But Charles's main force was still intact, and hoping to keep it so, he ordered a rapid retreat across the Danube. The French pursued, storming the walled city of Regensburg, which they knew as Ratisbon, with its vital stone bridge. Napoleon put Marshal Lannes in charge of the assault. When the attack faltered, Lannes threatened to lead the next charge in person, and his men, suitably chastised, took the city.
Is Marshal just another way
During
of
the
saying
siege,
commander?
Napoleon was hit in the foot by a spent bullet,
think it is.
causing widespread alarm,
It's like a step.
but it proved to be a superficial wound. Stubborn Austrian resistance had allowed Archduke Charles and his army to escape across the Danube. Napoleon had cut the Austrian army in half, but both sections now retreated in good order towards Vienna. Napoleon led his forces in pursuit, detaching Lefebvre's Bavarian Corps to deal with a popular revolt in Tyrol, and 3rd Corps and the Württemberg 8th Corps to guard his line of communications. Charles chose not to defend the capital, which surrendered on the 13th of May after a short bombardment. Instead, Charles and the Austrian army lay in wait across the Danube. Napoleon was now down to 80,000 men, facing 110,000 Austrians.
But you can never count them out.
Charles's army
Right.
had fought bravely and well throughout the campaign, but Napoleon still had a low opinion of Austrian troops and decided to attack.
Good quote.
On the night of the 20th of May, French engineers hastily built a series of floating bridges between the river islands of the Danube, and French troops began to cross.
How did they do this?
By noon the next day, Napoleon had most of Massena's 4th Corps and his cavalry across the river, about 24,000 men and 40 guns, holding the villages of Aspern and Essling. Napoleon expected the Austrians to retreat once more, and that he'd only face a rear guard. But reports soon arrived that the entire Austrian army was advancing against him in 5 attack columns, 90,000 men and 300 cannon. The situation got even worse. The Austrians began to float heavy barges and obstacles downriver to smash through the flimsy French bridge. Each time,
Austrians.
Napoleon's only supply route was cut off for several hours, causing critical delays to the arrival of reinforcements and ammunition.
Wow.
The battle began around 2:45 p.m. as infantry of the Austrian First Column attacked Aspern.
I mean, they've been preparing for this for
The
a
village
long
was
time.
soon under attack from
Yeah,
3
so-
sides.
Wow.
General Molitor's French garrison clung on desperately, fighting hand-to-hand in the streets and suffering 50% casualties. To support the defenders of Aspern, Napoleon ordered cavalry to charge the Austrian Third Column. But they could not break through the Austrian infantry, closed up in their battalion mass
Strong, man. They're
formation.
strong.
Like, I just have to say that my mind, like, seriously can't process, like, that this happened.
Unbelievable.
You know, like, that, like, people that, you know that you're probably gonna die, but, like, you do it for your country. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
At 6 p.m., Archduke Charles ordered General Bellegarde's Second Column to take Aspern at any cost. Charles himself rode among the front ranks, urging the men forward. In ferocious fighting, the Austrians took the village. Napoleon immediately sent in newly arrived reinforcements to recapture it. About the same time, the Austrian Fourth Column began its attack on the village of Essling, where Marshal Lannes had taken charge of defences while he waited for his own corps to cross the Danube. The first Austrian assault was repulsed. The veteran French cavalry commander General d'Espagne led his cuirassiers in pursuit, but was hit by grape shot and died of his wounds. Around 9 p.m, the Austrian 5th Column finally arrived in position and made its first attack against Essling, which was thrown back by Lannes' troops. As night fell, firing died out across the battlefield, and men got what rest they could among the dead and the wounded.
Man, Austria's just
Overnight, Second
I know.
Corps and the Imperial
Shocking.
Guard crossed the Danube to
Well,
reinforce
because of
Napoleon's
Yeah.
army,
Record streak.
which now numbered 71,000 and 150 guns. But then the bridge broke again, leaving Davout's 3rd Corps still waiting to cross. Nevertheless, Napoleon decided to attack, using 2nd Corps to break the Austrian centre. But first, Aspern would have to be retaken. Heavy fighting broke out in the village before dawn. By 7 a.m, it was back in French hands. At Essling, fresh Austrian attacks were fought off by General Lassalle's cavalry and units of the Young Guard. With both flanks secure, Napoleon launched his main attack in the centre with Lannes' 2nd Corps. Austrian guns poured fire into the advancing French ranks. General Saint-Hilaire, leading the attack, a hero of Austerlitz and Jena, had his foot blown off, a wound that proved fatal.
Wow.
Archduke Charles sent his Grenadier Reserve forward to strengthen the line. The French infantry, under torrential fire, began to fall back. At this critical moment, the French bridge over the Danube was broken again, halting the vital flow of reinforcements and ammunition to Napoleon's army.
Wow.
By 2 p.m, the French had been driven out of Aspern once more. Heavy fighting continued in Essling, which was briefly captured by the Austrians, then retaken by the Young Guard. Napoleon knew his army could do no more. At 4 p.m, he ordered his exhausted cavalry to make a last charge to keep the enemy at bay, then gave the order to retreat. Archduke Charles, whose own army had suffered huge losses and was low on ammunition, was content to watch the French withdraw to the island of Lobau. In the final moments of the battle, Marshal Lannes, one of Napoleon's finest commanders and closest friends, was hit by a cannonball that smashed both his legs. He died of his wounds a week later. It was a deep blow to the Emperor. The two-day Battle of Aspern-Essling was Napoleon's first major defeat, caused by his overconfidence and hasty planning. Both sides suffered heavy losses, and Napoleon avoided a much greater disaster only because of the exhaustion of the Austrian army. The French Emperor had learned new respect for the Austrians. Under Archduke Charles, they had fought bravely, with greater confidence, organization, and leadership. Within days of his defeat, Napoleon had summoned reinforcements to join him on the Danube and begun planning his revenge.
I mean,
Oh.
talk about an absolute bloodbath. Shout out Austria. I mean, they
Austria did work.
did work, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they had a pretty bad defeat many years ago, and you know, they made the adjustments and they came back stronger the second time.
Yeah.
You know, they're like that team that loses in the playoffs to like the top team. And you know, you use the offseason to make those adjustments and bring on the right players, and you come back next year and you're ready for war. Austria was ready for that, dude.
That was smart. Yeah. The way
Yeah.
they did the thing where it broke the bridge, that's smart.
Yep.
Because they kept doing that, and then, yeah, I don't know. That's
Austria.
crazy. That Austria's legit.
That was a dogfight.
Yeah,
Absolute,
it was.
just an absolute battle. And Austria deserved to win that.
Yeah.
But
I was waiting. I was like, which country is going to be?
Napoleon's plotting some big revenge scheme right now.
I don't know.
So
I'm scared.
I don't know what's going to happen in part 6. But, part 5 was wild.
Yeah.
What a wild turn of events.
We got one more part. Let's see what happens.
Wow. Unreal.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, excited for part 6. Thank you guys for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out our other videos. If you want us to react to something else, let us know down below in the comments, and we'll see you guys next time.